Okay, so we have disassembled our magneto and just making sure this is a slick magneto and it's a 4300 series and it's left hand rotation. That left hand rotation means as this rotates to the left, which is counterclockwise, it will engage the impulse coupling, which is going to give me a good spark on starting, and it disengages as the magneto speeds up. Now, what you need to know is down in there, downside in here, there is a permanent magnet that rotates as the impulse coupling moves. This permanent magnet has some letters embossed on it, and as you see right there, there is an L. Since it's a left-hand rotating magneto, you need that L in the left corner, with this being your primary coil referenced at the 12 o'clock position. So you're going to take a T150 keeper and you're going to need to insert this into that hole that is pointing to left. And now what we want to do is we're going to take this and insert it directly in that hole. And as that holds in there, we're going to rotate it till it's directly contacting the side of the housing. Now, with this here, what you're going to want to do is, for good reference, I would take my timing light that has two lights. You have a red light, you have a green light, and then you have a ground wire. This is so that you can check multiple magnetos at one time, but since we only have one, we only need one wire. So I'm going to take my black lead and I'm going to put that to ground. And this frame is a good ground. And I'm going to use my green lead. And now what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to insert it to this tang right here that's connecting to the breaker points. Now, with the T150 pressed against the housing and these leads hooked up in this orientation, I'm going to turn on my timer. Now that light right here that's off is letting me know I'm already in E-gap and this is a properly timed magneto. But let me show you how I got there. So what I want you to know is this. You're going to take a Torx screwdriver and you're going to need to loosen up these screws just so slightly. And I'm going to hold this case and I'm going to do just a little, maybe 1/8 of a turn and possibly 1/8 of a turn right there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, I'm going to take this out of E-gap. So there's a cutout right here. This is actually a reference cutout, but I'm going to reuse this to actually set the timing of the magneto for the breaker point. So I'm going to turn it this way. As you can see, I just made a big gap between my cam and my breaker points. Now, if I turn this light back on, see how that green light stayed on? That is telling me I'm no longer in E-gap. That means these breaker points are still contacting and there's no interruption to the primary circuit. So with that being the case, what I need you to see is I'm going to use this screwdriver and I'm actually going to set it into E-gap. With this keeper pressed against the housing, I'm going to rotate this towards the cam. And as I rotate it enough, it starts beeping. And as it starts beeping right there, turn that off so you can hear me, I'm going to want to tighten down this measurement just so slightly so that I don't lose where E-gap is. Now, verifying that we still are in E-gap, I can turn this on, and as you see, I'm going to grab the impulse coupling and I'm going to rotate it away and to it. And as I do that, it's going to prove that if this keeper were to stay in there and that L is in that corner, it puts me right in E-gap. And E-gap is the efficiency gap, and that's right when the breaker points are just opening because this cam is rotating around to open them, to put a separation in the primary circuit, to induce the secondary circuit, and that's how we're going to get spark to the spark plugs. And if you got into this far with your timing light, you have successfully internally timed your slick magneto. This is your Align rotor gear, and your Align rotor gear has two letters on it. I don't know if you can see right there, there's an R and here's an L. Now, depending on the rotation of your magneto, the corresponding letter needs to point to this tang on your primary circuit. And so if you look, it has a little keyhole right here. And that keyhole should fit into this cam. And as we do that, L should be pointing at my tang. Now, once that is properly installed, you're going to want to find these two little bushing blocks, kind of little spacers. And what these are going to do is they're going to fit right into these shallow milled out holes, and so that they can actually now support the bar, the alignment bar that has to go across it. This alignment bar is going to sit oriented just like this, right across over your primary coil. And now you're going to have what we call a distributor cap. And I'm going to zoom out so you can see that. And your distributor cap has two pieces to it. You have your distributor cap, which is going to be correlated to each one of your cylinders, and this would go onto a 4-cylinder engine. And on the flip side, holding that pin in, there's a, oh, I just dropped a screw. Clumsy me. On the flip side, there is a rotating gear, and this gear also has left, right, and an X on it. And if you flip this over, you can see those same letters in the same orientation on the distributor cap. This needs to be installed with this plunger right here into this hole, and that's what's going to contact your primary circuit. So we're going to gently slide that in here, keeping everything aligned, and that fits just like that. And that actually keys in to this gear that is going to rotate and then actually send the spark to the respective spark plug at the due time. So how we line that up, we take these two pieces of hardware that go back down into here, and this is going to make sure that we're not going to lose our alignment. With all that snugged up nice and tight, there's a pin right here. This pin is keeping everything in E-gap in the proper position inside the magneto, gearing me ready to install this on an aircraft. And the last piece you need is this, and this is your condenser right here. And this electrical connector actually is going to go on this tang, and you need to insert this very gently that you don't mess up your timing in here. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to reach under and you're just going to slide that electrical connector directly onto there, and this goes and fits directly on here. And then you're going to take your hardware that you used to disassemble it, and you're going to just slide all those back in, and that is going to be a properly timed, internally timed magneto that you can then go install on a ready aircraft.